Do you want to know how to get the most out of your AP? Well, then watch this video till the end to find out how to use your AP most wisely.
And how to get a lot of gems, speed ups, and everything that comes with it.
Hi everyone!
Ladus here.
And M!
So the first commanders we are going to use are the first two commanders that you probably get in game for doing barbarians. So you got a Lohar and
Boudica!
no, Aethelfled.
What?
So Lohar and Boudica doesn't have AoE, either one of them. So we're using Lohar first, and as you can see, Aethelfled has a half circle AoE, so it kind of makes it easy to hit multiple barbarians. So see the green half circle that you can see? Using that, we are basically killing 3 barbarians
whilst using only 30 AP, which is the cost of only 1 barbarian.
That's right. So we are not going to show a lot of this, so we are just going to show the common examples that you can use. So we are doing 3 at a time, but technically if you really wanted, you could have done a much bigger chain. Now how do you do a much bigger chain of barbarians? You go to a corner of a zone next to a mountain or next to a river or corner of the map, any area where you have a lot of barbarians clustered. That way, using the Lohar and Aethelfled, you can start doing barbarians from the early stages of you playing Rise of Kingdom, because Lohar you get within the first week, Aethelfled the first skill you can probably get within the first week as well. So that's that for Lohar and Aethelfled. Now as you can see, we did get 30 gems, we got a few speed ups, we got experience tomes, gold. So everything that you can see is quite useful in terms of your gameplay. Now the second one is probably the best AoE Barbarian commanders. Now M, have a guess, what are we using?
Why are we using Richard?
Who are we using with Richard?
I don't know.
Have a guess. From the animation, have a guess. Oh, too late. YSG. So, the second commanders, or the second pair we're using is Richard and YSG. Now, Richard you get in the first wheel, and YSG you get in the second wheel.
Let me tell you why I can guess. I don't know its animation.
Ah, you should have known YSG animation. But then, M asked a good question. So, Lohar kind of makes sense. You're using a barbarian commander. Now why are we using Richard? Now we're using Richard because of Richard's heal. Richard heals a lot, so you can...
Oh yeah, Richard's healing. That's
yes,
a good one.
And that's why you can go around the map, kill a lot of barbarians,
and you don't lose that much health because Richard heals.
Yes, and you don't have to refresh. Now the green numbers that shows up on the screen, those are the amounts that Richard is healing by. Now remember how we used Lohar in the beginning? Lohar has the exact same healing. Well, not exact same, but healing. Lohar doesn't heal as much. Now with Richard, yes, every time you're hitting a barbarian, you're probably spending a little bit more AP, but compared to the benefit you get, it's a lot.
Yeah, so that technically is using your AP wisely.
Now in this case, whilst we are doing it, we are using tier 5, but you don't have to use your tier 5. I don't actually have tier 4, that's why I'm using tier 5, and I'm using only 50,000. But when you start doing this, you will get an understanding quickly based on what type of troop you're using, how many troops should you take. When you're in KVK, you can obviously do it with a full march, but if you're in normal kingdom, you probably should take a little bit less troops, otherwise you can't do the chain properly. Now see how we only used AP when we hit the first barbarian. Now since then, I'm walking around a little by little, and every time I drag closer to the next barbarian, I use the stop button or the stand ground button on Richard on my march. Now unless I use that, Richard will go a little bit too far, and every barbarian has a certain range, and if you walk out of that range, then the barbarian walks back. Now, M, we're in a critical situation. I don't know whether we can hit the 25. Do you think we can hit the 25?
Ooh.
'Cause
Those two barbarians are dying. You should better move quick.
I think the risk here is I need to kill the bottom barbarian first, otherwise I can't move up. But then the top barbarian is almost dying at the same rate.
So
That is making it a little harder. I'm not too sure whether I can make it. Okay.
okay, you walked too far.
Looks like we're making a move. Are we going to stop? Yes, we stopped. So that's where I use the stop button. Now, ooh, clutch timing. Is it gonna hit me? Yeah.
It did.
So the bottom barbarian died and I did manage to get the top barbarian.
Wow, that was lucky.
That was lucky and skillful at the same time. Now, the more you do this, the more you get used to.
Yeah,
now,
and how better you get at it.
Now, a little storytelling time. This is when M was a little baby.
What?
Meh, baby. So back then, I was doing my first KVK. And when I was doing my first KVK, I didn't get the KVK naturally. I actually migrated in an older kingdom to do KVK because I couldn't just wait. I was a bit too impatient, so I didn't get to do my first KVK after 90 days or so. I got to do it after 60 days or something like that, even before I think the lost temple was settled in our kingdom. But anyways, so what that meant is my power was somewhere around, when I migrated, I think my power was 12 million.
That's too
little. And then I pushed a little bit. I think I went up to about 20 or something.
I was a baby and you account was a baby.
My account was a baby. Now at that stage, I did use Lohar. Actually, not Lohar, I had Richard. I used Richard and Aethelfled.
I remember you showing me Richard and Aethelfled and how you could hit so much. And I was like, how did you do that?
Yeah, so Richard and Aethelfled, I did manage to win the city skin by doing this all day in KVK.
Okay, here's something. DiaoChan is a new commander that happened when I was actually a little older.
Yes, so that's a good point. M is bringing us back to the screen. So the third march we're using, whilst the Richard is still fighting, the third march we're using is DiaoChan and who is behind. Now look at the animation. Let's see if you can guess.
Okay. I'm watching. Theodora, I already saw.
Yep, Theodora. So Theodora, just like YSG, has a full circle AoE, so that makes hitting barbarians a lot easier. Now Theodora, you can't obviously get her until you're in Season of Conquest. Now when you're in Season of Conquest, you can, just like this, you can use 2 or 3 marches to do AoE all day. Especially nowadays in KVK, if you can do that, you can get gems, material, and all sorts of things.
Look, he charged the next barbarian.
That was quite lucky and a little skillful as well, I would say. Now I'm kind of out of touch because this is something I have been doing for a very long time. I think I stopped doing it like a year ago, but then I do feel that I need to start doing it a little bit more. Now, if I get any time to spend in game, I think this is the best use of my time. Now if some people want to do gem farming, I actually find this more useful because I get gems and I get other things at the same time.
Yeah, it's not like you just get gems. You get lots of gems and loads of more important things.
Yeah. Now what are we showing you here? Now on the screen we're showing that you can technically use other combinations as well.
Like a Pelagius? What are you doing?
So before the Pelagius, we're using a Boudica, and behind Boudica we got Sansu. Now Sansu has a fan-shaped AoE and Boudica has a little bit of healing, so you can technically do that. Now on the right hand side, this is possible, but it's not realistic, I would say. I'm using a Pelagius and Baibars. Now Baibars, as you can see, I just failed. So with Pelagius and Baibars, I was trying to AoE Barb a little bit as well, and I kind of failed.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to do 2 things at the same time. The Boudica and the Sansu, and Pelagius and Baibars. Now you can do 2 at the same time, but
if you're really, really skilled.
if you're really skilled, and on top of that you need to make sure you have Theodora and YSG, because if you have 2 full circle AoE, then you can easily do AoE barbing with 2 marches at the same time.
You can get it from behind your back.
Now M, question for you. I don't think you know the answer, but still, why am I using Pelagius? Pelagius is not a barbarian specialized commander.
Do you know? I think I know why. Because in one of my our videos, I was saying to use Pelagius, and you said it has a chance to heal.
That's right. So you're using Pelagius instead of Belisarius, who is more of a barbing commander, because Pelagius has a little bit of a heal. So that's why we're using Pelagius and Baibars.
Yeah.
So I failed in the previous attempt. Now you can see that finally I managed to get the second try or the third try, I think, 2 targets. Now let's look at the reports that we got. So this is the first one with Lohar and Aethelfled, and as you can see we've done 3, and this is just a sample. With Lohar and Aethelfled you can easily do 10-12 or so if you try 10-12 overall. And with Richard and YSG, I think the highest I did was 52 or 53 barbarians using 1 AP. That was a lot of effort. And then you looked at
something was in that what made him amazing.
Now then we're just looking through the rest of the reports. Now with the Theodora, it's hard to get because Theodora is from
Season of Conquest
and MGE, but you can you get the first skill at skill 1 and you can still do it. Now we are looking at the talent trees. So there's nothing special about the talent trees. They're just barbarian talent trees. The only important thing is the leaf looking thing at the left side.
It's called Curing Chant, Ladus.
Yep. So Curing Chant, I think that's the name. Yeah, we just showed that. And Trophy Hunter, those 2 were the kind of important things. Now Richard and Pelagius, I'm obviously using the normal ones that I use. Now remember guys, AP is quite hard to get, and you need to make sure you make the most out of AP.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.